And we always go to the extremes
Yeah.
when we're fed up. And what we're asking you guys not to do, that's why we said fuck calorie deficit, is to not go to that extreme because
Yeah.
it doesn't benefit you in the totality and the sustainability of your overall wellness trajectory.
Caloric deficit is essentially burning more calories than you take in.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's just, and you do need to do that. That's what the law of thermodynamics, where if you're looking to lose weight, you do have to, pay attention to how many calories you are consuming in relation to how many calories you are burning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that is science. That is the real deal.
Thermogenics.
However, it gets overstated a lot in terms of, I don't think there's enough context that is given when it comes to caloric deficit. And what I mean is, you don't want to just cut calories willy-nilly. Too often, because people, are upset with their fitness, they're ready to see a change, and they make a really dramatic cut in calories.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't just arbitrarily just start eating 1,200 calories.
All right, welcome back to Wellness in Depth.
Yeah.
I'm your host, Mark Komar.
Akil Sherman.
And today we're going to talk about
caloric deficit with that overrated bullshit.
Straight up.
Anyway, it's not okay. Let me before I get all ridiculous. Let me reel it in. Right. It's too late. I'm already ridiculous. Caloric deficit is essentially burning more calories than you take in.
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's just, and you do need to do that. That's what the law of thermodynamics, where if you're looking to lose weight, you do have to, pay attention to how many calories you are consuming in relation to how many calories you are burning.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that is science. That is the real deal.
Thermogenics.
However, it gets overstated a lot in terms of, I don't think there's enough context that is given when it comes to caloric deficit. And what I mean is, you don't want to just cut calories willy-nilly. Too often, because people, are upset with their fitness, they're ready to see a change, and they make a really dramatic cut in calories.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't just arbitrarily just start eating 1,200 calories.
Right.
Like that's not wise. Primarily because the body has a certain number of calories it needs to operate. You have organs, lungs, liver, blood flow, brain functionality, heart, so all these things require calories. So when you go too low, you put yourself in a position where the body can't release body fat because it needs a certain amount of energy just to operate.
Mm-hmm.
And too often I see online fitness people or people who work out, just people who work out, they always are extolling caloric deficit. But the thing is, you have individuals who have been struggling with body weight for a long time, because that they maybe have succumbed to diet culture, and they're at a point where they already are eating, they're under eating as it is. There are a lot of people who are overweight because they are under eating. They're not consuming enough calories. So when they see that, they're like, well, I'm already quote unquote starving myself. So and so then people become stressed out about eating in general. Mm-hmm. So nutrition becomes this whole mind fuck, if you will. It does, because they have these hang-ups mentally, and then that also like again plays into diet culture and unhealthy relationships that people have with food. So it's important to understand, you don't just cut calories willy-nilly. There's something called the RMR, which is your resting metabolic rate, and you could just simply Google it. It's a formula that you could just plug in like 3 numbers, and it'll tell you how many calories your body burns at rest. And so you may find that while you're trying to eat like 1,200 calories, you really need like 2,000, and that's okay. The key then becomes the quality of your calories. The quality of calories matter. A lot of folks, no one got overweight from eating carrots, spinach, and beets. Okay, like you didn't overeat apples and oranges and now you gained 50 pounds. We know that that's generally a lot of junk food, a lot of food that is high in fat, high in salt, that's just not good for us. And it's very difficult to eat a lot of calories of healthy food. Like if you ever seen if you try to eat a bag of spinach, okay, just follow me on this. It is hard as hell just to eat a big ass bag of spinach, and that's about 100 and 150 calories. The thing is, it's nutritionally dense, and there's a lot of vitamins and minerals in those foods, and so they're going to help you feel faster, quicker. And so in that, you find that the higher quality of food, the better satisfied your body feels. And so when you're eating a wide variety of vegetables, a wide variety of fruits, you're selecting lean sources of protein, you're drinking your water, you're getting your sleep, you're going to find that you're going to lose body fat. You do want to be mindful where you're getting your carbohydrates from, whether those are your rice, corn, bread, pasta, potatoes, wheat. Those things do require higher monitoring, particularly if you were like me and you're an endomorph where you can gain weight very easily. You want to look at some substitutions for those foods, like with the potatoes, you want to look at sweet potatoes. With rice, perhaps you look at rice that comes from the East, like from Thailand or Taiwan, where it's not milled like it is here in the States. And because of the way it is processed here in the States, it reacts in the body a certain way. So those are things you want to be mindful of. But when it comes to just the wide varieties of fruit, wide varieties of vegetables, lean sources of protein, lean sources being, your poultry. You can also do plant-based protein. I mean, there are a lot of options out there in the market today. And when you're making those selections and you're drinking your water, you're going to find yourself satisfied nutritionally. You're going to find that you don't necessarily want as much snacks because your body is being well fed. And when you become well fed, you're going to notice like, hey, I'm feeling good in my body. I'm more alert. I'm sleeping better. I don't have the inflammation, and I'm losing body fat. Like things start to kind of click for you. So, I know I just monopolized all that time. He said over there, like, he's so patient. He's just saying like, this dude is going. Yeah, I'm kind of freestyling right now. You hear what I'm saying? I got my mic, turn my mic up.
Welcome to the Kill Show.
Right. He like just featuring my sidekick. No. I'm looking over there. He like, damn, this guy is going.
So all that is so real and it's so true. You gotta find your point. I mean, the topic that we're talking about is fuck calorie deficit, right?
Yeah.
All those are definitely modalities or actually not even modalities. Those are all strategies you can use once you recognize that you need calories.
Yeah.
But I think let's kind of dial it back a little bit and address why do people choose to go to having such a large calorie deficit? Like what is, in your professional opinion, beyond just being bombarded with that's the thing to do, why do you think people choose to go that route?
I think it's the relationship with food. I think that people, first of all, they don't know. And because you hear about cutting calories so often, that you don't really consider how many calories you need to cut, and you just think like, if I eat less, I'll get where I'm trying to go. And I think unfortunately so many people set themselves up for feeling deprived. That's where feelings of deprivation come from your nutrition, because then you start to think like, I can't eat. People just sometimes they just get frozen with fear.
Right. So I agree with you, because I agree with that. It's the psychology of it all is what you're saying.
Yeah. Yes.
Because people don't know where to go, and when you're at that threshold of I'm fed up, which I'm 230 and I want to be 180. That's when I felt my best.
Yeah.
15 years ago, 20 years ago when I was in college, right? So like you said, they hear it, and the psychology is, well, I heard if I cut my calories, and I don't have time to figure out specifically. I don't have time to try to do my RMR, right? So it's like, let me just, if I know I'm roughly doing 3,000 calories a day, roughly, just for number's sake, if I go 1,500, I'm good.
Right, I'm gonna just cut that in half.
And we always go to the extremes when we're fed up. And what we're asking you guys not to do, that's why we said fuck calorie deficit, is to not go to that extreme, because it doesn't benefit you in the totality and the sustainability of your overall wellness trajectory. We're talking about things that are sustainable at a high level and are still versatile enough that will allow you to have the adjustments that you need to make without having the extreme of, like you said about the kale being 150 calories.
Yeah.
Spinach. We're not saying at all that just go for,
eating spinach.
And
that's
speed.
it.
We're not saying that at all.
No.
What we're saying is understanding, like he said, that calories do play a part, and the quality of the calories play a part. And just cutting them so drastically is not a smart move.
No.
Okay, so we understand completely that you're fed up, and you should be fed up, but make the right sequential put in the right sequential steps that will allow you to see the changes you want to make gradually. Allow it to be gradual, because one thing you always talk about, you didn't get big overnight.
No, like a lot of times, you have to think, guys. Where you are today is a culmination of 5, 10, 15, sometimes 20 years or more of certain behaviors. And so to think that you're going to erase 20 years of poor nutrition in like 6 weeks is erroneous, and it's unfair. You're really setting yourself up for a lot of frustration. That's one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of the scale, because as you're going through your journey, if you're trying to hop on the scale and see ounces a day, it could be a little defeating. Meanwhile, there's a lot of non-scale victories. The scale's not going to tell you that your blood pressure has improved, your cholesterol has improved, your sleep is better, you have less inflammation, your knees feel better. The scale is going to miss out on a lot of benefits, and if you're only focused on a number, then you're going to get disappointed, and you're going to stop 3 feet of gold.
The factors, like he said, that doesn't calculate on top of that, which are phenomenal factors. It doesn't equate for, you have now committed to yourself.
Yeah.
And you made a difference in, 6 weeks ago, you weren't as committed to yourself and being as diligent, and you have been now. You've now improved your ability, your muscle strength. You've improved your cardiovascular strength. You've improved
your relationship with people.
Exactly.
Like your children are watching you. A lot of you guys have children.
Do as I do, not do as I say.
Yeah. And you have a responsibility as a parent to be alive for your kids. How about that?
and just as a citizen, as a citizen in this world, I agree with it. To add on to that, as a citizen, you don't know who's watching you.
Yeah.
People are always watching you. So your coworkers, your colleagues, you're on WebEx now from the house, but people can see, through that WebEx screen, they can see, a difference. They can see a change in how you show up for the meetings on time, how you show up more energized.
More light in your eyes.
So these are the things that, like he said, that are factors that the scale, the over calculations doesn't measure, but you need to equate for these factors as you go on the journey. But again, not to get too far off track, we hope you understand that drastically cutting your calories is not and will never be the solution to you trying to see the changes you want to see with your wellness growth. It's a small incremental changes. Yes, the facts and the science are calories in, calories out. And
I want to just go further what you said about small changes. Shaving 50 to 100 calories off of your nutrition a lot of times can be enough.
Oh my God. Talk about
it. I forgot where I read this, but the saying went something to the effect of, you want to cut as little calories as possible to see as much fat loss as possible, or weight loss as possible. Fat loss is really what you're trying to drop, but so what that means though is you don't make, like he said, you don't make a 300 to 500 caloric cut in your nutrition. Because he also mentioned not having the time or not making the time to like do the numbers and things like that. I would urge you to take a little bit of time for that, because it's hard to measure your progress if you don't have any data. So, and you don't have to count calories forever. Like, I'm not even a big fan of counting calories. Let me just say that. Yep. I'm not a big fan of counting calories. I'm not a big fan of counting macros. I do understand that works and that's effective for a lot of people. I understand that. But it's not mandatory. And in fact, with my clients, I don't require them to count calories and all that stuff. I'm more of the mind of showing them how to eat. Here's how you want to go about putting food items together. But, because I mentioned the RMR a little while ago. The thing about the RMR is that it tells you how many calories your body burns at rest. When you know how many calories you burn at rest, and then you know how many calories you burn with exercise, let's just say for a number that winds up being 2,400 calories you burn. And if you just cut 50 to 100 calories out of your nutrition, now you set yourself up for fat loss. It's really just that simple.
And I love what he's saying right there. The 50 to 60, because let's take it like this. In science experiments, they do a situation where they have control. experiments, right? The reason why they're controlled, and they always have a very limited number of variables that they need to control. Because what happens is, and that's why it's so great what he's saying, if you take 50 calories and you extract that, in those 50 calories, you have a better chance to say, okay, well, I took out, Chick-fil-A, and I took out, you know what I'm saying? Or you took out something small, and you can say, okay, I know I extracted Chick-fil-A for my morning breakfast.
Stop going to the vending machine.
Right. I stopped taking out Chick-fil-A for morning breakfast. So now I can put in there apples and a banana, right? Yeah. So now for the next 2 or 3 weeks, you track that one variable, right? Yeah. And now you can say, okay, this is the thing that's making me feel a little bit better, right? Yeah. Now you can add on the next thing. So now I can take out another 30 or 40 calories potentially, right? Or, I can just substitute with better calories. But that's what the science experiment does, is control variables. I think that's genius what you said, because now you are really looking at specificity. Specificity of what is actually causing the issue, as opposed to this drastic. How can you look at all the variables and you take out 1,500 calories, right? Or 1,200 calories? Like, you don't know. And we will say this, and this is one thing we always said. We all understand processed foods are the killer. That's what the real issue is, processed food. So I will say, if you have now, drastically changed, if you were eating out 3 times a day, you know what I'm saying? That's primarily how you were eating. And you changed that and flipped that to, homegrown, and greens and, homegrown food and, backyard, grown food. Yeah. Then yes. That still is, that is the variable too that you are controlling, because you're saying, okay, I'm taking processed out and I'm now doing natural, organic or cleaner food eating. That's what we mean when we say cleaner food too. Yeah. By the way, guys, we're not saying that it all has to be salad per se, but we're saying, like,
where it came from.
Exactly.
It's not the multi-syllabic words with the hydroxyparathoxyrine.
Phosphorate.
Right. Like, what are you eating? If you can't pronounce it, you probably don't need to eat it.
Right. So, this is why we're saying, again, fuck
calorie deficit. Jesus.
Because to the extreme that we all are doing. No need. Take the small steps, like he said, 50 to 60 calories. Look, he gave you in the beginning, go back and listen to the type of foods that you can implement or put in place of if you've been eating a lot of processed foods or foods that are not,
a lot of starch.
Yeah. And we're going to have episodes we talk about glucose and, all that stuff and, starchy foods. We'll get into more specificity with that later on. But right now, it's just a matter of understanding. Don't just go to the extreme, because when you go to the extreme, something will happen.
The pendulum is going to swing back the other way. That's why you wind up overeating. That's what happens to a lot of people. When you make those dramatic cuts in your calories, you wind up overeating because you feel so deprived. Your body feels deprived. And that's why you can't artificially force your body to consume less calories than it needs. Mm-hmm. And so when you do that for an extended period of time, you find that you start to desire more food, and you're like, man, I'm always hungry. And then that's when it builds up, because you start to feel deprived, and then you overindulge, and then it becomes this binge situation. And then here comes this negative internal dialogue about how I can't be successful. This never works out for me. And a lot of people have that vicious cycle that they've been fighting for years, and so that's why we're talking about, like, man, fuck this shit. Stop doing that. It's not successful. It's not sustainable for you.
Right. What's the
It's not healthy.
What's the hormone that makes us eat ghrelin? I can't never say it.
I think it's
right.
Ghrelin.
Yeah, ghrelin.
I think that's what you.
Every time I'm in my class talking about this stuff, like, I can't say certain words right, but is ghrelin or ghrelin? I'll put it in the notes for you guys.
Yeah.
But it's a hormone that alerts us to eat, and that's never going to stop. And we need that, because that's what helps the neurons in our body. That's what helps facilitate.
You need to eat.
Right. That's what facilitates the body to function and for you to be alive. So it's never going to stop, but let's do it right, like he said. Let's do it right. All right. So you can do this. All right. Don't go extreme. Just take it one day at a time. All right. You'll be fine. So we look forward to talking to you guys again soon on Wellness.
Thanks for watching this. Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, we appreciate you. See you again soon. Hey guys, thank you so much for joining us here on Wellness in Depth. My name is Mark Komar, and Mr. Akil Sherman, thanks you for joining us as well. Please understand the information that we share and use and disseminate on this show is for general use only. Please make sure to consult your doctor or your healthcare provider before engaging in any of the activities that we talk about here on this show, all right? But thank you. We look forward to having you here on the next episode of Wellness in Depth.